Hi, welcome. Good afternoon. I love this little tiny group we have today. This is wonderful. Um, if you can stand with me, that would be amazing. And turn your video on. That would be also amazing and helpful. And we'll just start with a quick little get our bodies up and moving. Um, can you do me a favor? Simon says, put your hands on your head. Simon says, put your hands on your shoulder. Simon says, put your hands on your belly. Simon says, put your hands on your shoulder. Simon says, put your hands on your head. Put your hands on your nose. Put your hands on your nose. Sit. Put your hands on your head. If you moved your hands, sit. Simon says, put your hands on your nose. Put your hands on your shoulders. If you put your hands on your shoulders, sit. Okay, Simon says, touch your knees. Simon says, touch your toes. Simon says, touch your knees. Simon says, touch your toes. Simon says, touch your knees, touch your shoulders. Okay, nice job. Just getting up and doing a little bit of movement for me. Welcome, welcome, friends. So good to see you all here. Do me a favor and just go ahead and drop into the chat, um, your name and where you're coming in from, your role, so that we can have a little record of that for folks when they watch this. A lot of times people will watch these after the fact, and it's kind of nice for them to know who people are and where they're coming in from. Also, I'm just going to give you a couple quick updates about some things that have been going on for us here at the Regulated Classroom. So first off, we have our brand new guidebook. It finally is in. She is gorgeous. Look at her. I mean, really, so I'm going to just escape out of this for a second so y'all can see this more wholly. So the thing that's really interesting about the new guidebook is that we've done a lot of work to try to improve the graphics around it so that understanding what it is that we're getting at is clearer to people. So we've changed up some of the graphics on the activator and changed the description a little bit, trying to always tweak and refine essentially so that what we're talking about here can be as accessible and easy to remember for folks as possible. So lots of updates in the guidebook. We are still doing like a pre, if you go to the website, regulatedclassroom.com, you can find there that it's still discounted to the old guidebook price if you want to order now, but we have them in stock. And we would love for folks to check them out. We feel like it's a really valuable resource, especially if you are hanging on to a guidebook that maybe is 2 or 3 years old. You'll find a lot of changes in this one. So we're very proud of that work. And okay, let me go back to stop sharing. What am I sharing? What's happening here? Okay, let me go back to my screen here and I'll continue on with my announcements. So the second announcement, that was a huge, huge moment for us. And I'd love to get a little bit of jazz hands if I can from you all. Can you do that for me? Hands up, mouths open. Ah. We hosted a program in LA this week simultaneously with a program in Maine. So we were coast to coast hosting Train the Trainer events that were full. And one was hosted, I hosted one of them, and Christy McNaughton, who's one of our expert trainer consultants, she hosted the other one in Maine. They were both uber successful. And I think it really reflects how much the work is growing not only in the Northeast and on the West Coast, and in particular in California, but across the country. We're really seeing that this is getting into areas and kind of just spreading like wildfire through word of mouth. So much so that we are proud to announce another Train the Trainer event that's coming. It's on our website now, but it's coming to, is it Green Bay? Yeah, Green Bay, Wisconsin. We just scheduled that for July of 2026. And also another one forthcoming in Illinois as well. That one I think is going to be more like April. Does that sound right? So exciting to see kind of like, coast to coast, but then also filling in the middle there in the country. Very proud of that. The other thing I'm uber proud of is that Real Simple, the magazine, is going to feature I think and we'll be promoting this on the socials on our Facebook and Instagram, but I'm gonna be featured in there talking about gratitude and affirmations. And so you can look for a little piece about me and the regulated classroom and how the practice of gratitude is so good for ourselves and our own nervous systems, and also how oftentimes, amazingly enough, what we really benefit from is not only sharing gratitude with those that we are thankful for, the things that we are thankful for, but being in the presence of hearing other people share their gratitudes for us or for others is huge. And so I just thought you should take a look and see us there. You're going to be noticing that we will be in more mainstream media over the next couple months, and I'm hoping to even potentially make an appearance at the Kelly Clarkson show. That's Kelly. No, sorry. No, Drew Barrymore, not Kelly Clarkson, Drew Barrymore. So I will also keep you all posted about that. Okay. So let's just get straight into it, my friends. I'm going to share with you the little bit of a slide deck that I created for our training today, our brief little webinar training, if you want to call it that. It's just a way, in these sorts of monthly moments of being able to try to connect. I really want to try to give you morsels to chew on and to wrestle with, bits of information, maybe a reframe for you so that you can understand what the regulated classroom is all about. And also you can perhaps share it with others who are wondering about it and interested in learning a bit or having a sense of it. So the first question I have for you, and then I will drop into the chat to see what you say, is when we say things, because this is the exact time of the year when we're at like, okay, dude, I can't take it anymore. Like these kids, like, right? And we just feel like the students are wild. And again, the second that we start noticing that, the second that we start feeling really taxed by our kids, and our students around us, we can know that we are experiencing dysregulation ourselves. All right. And that's very much a reflection of a dynamic interplay between us and our students, right? So their nervous systems and how they are presenting has a direct impact on our experience and our nervous system state. And then there's a like a bidirectionality about that. So then our states shift and that has an impact on them. So it goes both ways. But what I want us to define here in the chat is when we say that the kids are acting crazy or we say that they're acting wild, what does that look like in behavioral terms? So here's where I'm going to drop into the chat. I'm going to actually try to escape out so that you don't have to be looking at just my screen. But I'd love for you to drop into the chat a response to this question. What are the behaviors that we see at this time of year that make us feel like the kids are acting crazy or acting wild? Here we go. Let me see if I can find my chat here. Yeah. Oh, and I'm just taking a look at folks that are come in. Hi, y'all. It's so good to see you guys. Oh, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Love that. Right. More chatty. Christy, thank you so much. They're more talkative. There's loud voices. That's literally the one I put on mine. Verbally blurting out, right? They're touchy, they're fidgety, they're just kind of like recess difficulties. Oh my, recess drama. Yes, love that. Deanna, that is amen, sister, that you're on it. Excessive energy, interrupting, unable to stay focused and on task, difficulty sustaining attention, lots of emotion and more energy. Carla says in and out of seats, talking nonstop, impulsivity, right? I mean, this is just the kind of stuff that you're like, can I just pull out every one of my hairs at this point? Because we're trying to get things done, right? We're trying to get things done. We've got lessons we're trying to share. We've got assessments we're trying to take. So y'all are there. Okay, you're 100% there. Here's what I want to offer you for a moment is that all of those things tell us a lot about the nervous system, right? They tell us a lot about the state that our students are in. And also when it's that common, and there's just a few of you on this, there's 16 of you in here, and you're basically all saying and describing more or less the same behaviors, whether you're in Michigan or North Carolina or Maine, right? So it's like, that's not coincidence. That's a reflection of that we have a mismatch in perhaps developmental needs or design, like instructional design of what we're doing in that moment or in the vast majority of moments in the classroom to what is actually needed for the children at that time. Okay. And I will just say too that even though some of those wild behaviors are more commonly reported among like elementary and younger ages, Middle school and secondary educators also experience a similar uptick in just loss of focus kinds of behaviors and kids feeling just either disengaged or disconnected in some way. So I'm not going to get into a big chat about instructional design because I don't ever talk about my work in that way. But I want you to recognize that when a phenomena is that commonplace, there's something that we are doing that is not meeting our students where they are at. And when that happens, when the kids are not presenting in a regulated, engaged, curious way, that has an effect on our own nervous systems. Okay. So stand with me for a second, please, so that you don't go dorsal on me. Turn your videos on if you can for a second, please. This is one of the things that I'm most proud of in the new version of the guidebook is my description about Sucky Town. Okay, and Kim Chandler, my former boss, she would love that I am naming this here and giving her credit for it. But I want y'all to do this with me. For those of you who maybe have trained with me, I've probably encouraged you to do this with me. All right, this gesture of actually feel into that, get yourself a little, and what would even be better is if you can do like this. So like you take your hands, clasp them together and push and pull like that, right? This is a gesture you can use in your classroom when you are noticing that you and or your students have gone to Sucky Town. We're about to go into Sucky Town. It's when you start to talk about things that are challenging and they shift your nervous system into a state of dysregulation, but you have to kind of acknowledge that. It's necessary to acknowledge that. So I want to give you a little context for why you're experiencing some of the things that you're experiencing at this time of year. That might help you to understand why regulation needs to be such an incredible priority at this time of the year. So here's Sucky Town for you. First of all, take a look at this picture. And what do you notice about this child here? This probably 5-year-old boy. What do you notice? What's happening? Give me some chat responses.
Screen time. Oh, sorry.
No, go for it, Melissa. I love that you want to go for it. Say it.
The screen time at in the bed. Oh,
Okay. What might once have been like a book that this child would have been with, right? Or perhaps even a parent who may have been sharing something with them or a sibling. You got a kid on a device. So we need to recognize this is a very real condition of life for our children today is that they're spending between 7.5. That's actually a very conservative number. I've seen studies that suggest up to 10 hours a day on a screen. A lot of that time we ourselves are reinforcing in the classroom with all of our digitized curriculum. Okay. The thing that is important, first of all, even just seeing the image and starting to talk about this, do you feel this? Can you do this with me again? Can you feel the suck of Sucky Town where you just go, like, great. Yeah, nope, this is 100% what we're dealing with. I know it. I know it. The kids have too much technology. And you are right. And the reason why that is so problematic is primarily twofold. Let me show you something else here. I want you to read this to yourself, and I want you to really take this in. We grow and adapt in response to our most frequent and repetitive experiences. I'm going to say it again. We grow and adapt in response to our most frequent and repetitive experiences. These are not my words. These are the words of researchers like Dr. Bruce Perry or Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, right? We know from lots of neuroscience in developmental psychology and somatic psychology that this is how the human body and brain function. They function in response to their experiences. We also are somewhat shaped by the things that we eat and environmental toxins and exposures, but really it's our experiences in the world that shape who we are and define who we are. Okay. So I want to go back to that picture that I just showed you for a moment. Okay. And I want to talk about, I hate how this little, okay, go away. Go away. I don't want this little annotate thing. I'm just going to, there we are. um, so if this child's most frequent experiences are asynchronous, absent of other humans, and disembodied, meaning he's not engaging his body in any meaningful way, then we adapt to that quality of experience. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, that's not, the kids don't look like this in the classroom. They look the opposite of this in the classroom. And that is kind of my point. One of the women that I really admire her work, some point I need to connect with her, is and I've talked about her in other trainings too, is the work of Angela Hanscom, who is pediatric occupational therapist, and she developed the Timber Nook schools. Betty Mullery here out there. You would love this woman. You probably are familiar with her programs. But she talks about, I'm just going to escape out of this for a second so you can, or stop sharing so you guys can not have to look just at the screen. She talks about how the single most beneficial thing that we can provide our children today, if you were to just boil it down to like one thing, and it's not just one thing, but one thing, it would be movement in the context of community. I'm going to say that again. It would be movement in the context of community. Now, she doesn't say in the context of community. She talks about like outdoor play and stuff like that, but movement is her number one thing. And what I'm saying is movement in the context of community. Why? Because our kids are starving for relational connection. They are they are neglected in that way by our current systems. You may be thinking like, well, we're in a classroom together. Yeah, but a lot of the things that we have our students do with one another is adult directed, or it's quite contrived. Like it's like, do this in this way. It doesn't enable our students to actually be able to experience their own empowerment or agency about how they interact with their peers, right? And so I know you've got curriculum to deliver. I know you've got lessons you got to do. I'm not saying those things can't happen. But what I am saying is that in order to help your students gain the developmental experiences that give rise to state regulation, and also to provide you with meaningful moments to connect with your kids and to reset yourself, you're going to need movement in the context of the classroom community. So, with that, I am going to share this again. Just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything that I want to show you. But I have four practices, well, five really, that we're going to do today that you could take back immediately and try in your classroom community so that you can satisfy that you can satisfy some movement in the classroom today. Okay, where did oh, there it is. Okay. So now I'm sharing. There we go. Okay. Oh, I just want to show you this one thing because I always got to get a little polyvagal plug in there, right? I just want to kind of give you, and I haven't even updated this slide, which makes me so, I've actually made improvements to this graphic. But what I want you noticing here is that when our students do not experience sufficient developmental experiences, like play, like lots of free play and lots of exploration and lots of social rich contact, when our kids don't get that, what you end up seeing is the development of disorganizing patterns of behavior. This can look like rowdiness or uncoordinatedness or just kind of roughness or just what can sometimes be interpreted as insensitivity or inconsideration or lack of consideration or lack of empathy. And really, it's just our kids showing up in a very disorganized presentation. And that can be because they don't have the capacity, they have yet to develop the capacities that help them to present in a more modulated, regulated way. This can become so much the case that their activation oftentimes looks more like the behaviors you see to the right of the fight flight ladder, right? They can be anxious, they can be worried, they can be trying to avoid things or trying to escape experiences or trying to get away from assignments or homework, or they can be combative with you and argumentative and agitated with their peers, like all these defensive defensive activation is what that is. It's the nervous system responding in a protective mode when it experiences high arousal. Or conversely, They can go dorsal on you, right? They can go dorsal on you, drop out, shut down, not talk, go inward, not be engaged, be seemingly lazy or disinterested or unmotivated. Those are the terms we typically use to describe kids in dorsal states. But either of these ways of presentation are going to be very challenging for you, the adult, to stay regulated in the presence of. Because remember, our nervous system states are contagious. We are highly contagious to one another. So give me one more of these. Give me a little bit more of Sucky Town, because this is Sucky Town we're talking about here, right? And you can feel that in your nervous system. And then I'm going to invite Emma over today to help me demo a couple of the practices that you might want to use in order to help you reset. And actually, before we do that, let me just show you this really quickly, because I don't know if some of you have ever trained with me or you haven't, if you know the framework, if you don't know the framework, but I just want to show you this. This is the regulated classroom framework. This is the way to think about how do I offer these qualities of experience in the classroom to help me reset and co-regulate with my students. So they're connectors, activators, settlers, affirmations. There's the 2 essential educator capacities. We won't talk about those today, but I'm going to give you examples of connectors, activators, settlers, affirmations that would help fill in these missing developmental experiences that your kids are craving and therefore showing up in disorganized ways. And you're also going to notice that it might help your own nervous system shift into a state of regulation. Okay, so today we're going to do hand slap and thumb war for the connector practices. So we'll demo those together. So I don't know if you have anybody around, if you share an office and somebody can come over and join you right now, I would recommend that you do that, because a couple of the different things we're going to do involve a partner for partner play. Then we're going to do double, double, dis, double, double, that. I'm going to teach you that real quick for an activator practice. For a settler practice, we're going to do a physiological sigh, which is a way to reset your nervous system and calm down your body. And then for an affirmation practice, which is how we'll end, we'll just give each other a heart gesture. I'll ask you to do that either on your camera would be preferable, so that you can see gesture from another human. But if you cannot turn on your camera for some reason, I'm going to have you drop that gesture into the chat box when we get there. Okay, so connector practices. What are connector practices? They're ways to build and repair relationships. That's what a connector is. It's a practice that represents an opportunity to build and repair a relationship, and it involves high activation in the nervous system, so high arousal. So you're going to feel this. You might notice it, or you might start to feel it even when you see Em and I do these things together. But we're trying to get that high activation in service of connection instead of in service of protection. Okay, so we're gonna be having fun. That's why fun is important in the classroom, because it's high activation, but in service of connection. So the first one is hand slap. So Em didn't even know this one because she's a millennial. She didn't even do this one when she was a kid. So I was showing it to her.
No, I knew it.
Okay, ready? 3 times.
Yeah, okay.
You're
got her.
Okay, now she's gonna say, come on, come on now. Okay, so that's hand slap. So you could let that happen for a few moments, have the kids switch partners, do it with a couple different kids. Then you can try thumb war. I'll check. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. Again, we're dealing with high arousal here. No. One more time. Am I scratching with my fingernails?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. She got me both times. Both times she got me. Okay, so that's a connector practice, and you might be thinking, oh my goodness, that's a lot. That's what your kids need. That's what your students need. I don't care if they are 3-year-olds or if they are 18-year-olds. They need to have fun. They need to connect, and it needs to be in a playful way. So you got to decide if you like either of those or you think those are fun, that's what you want to use. Okay, that's just an example of a connector practice. There's 40 more of them in the guidebook, but now you have a sense of what that's about. The next one is the activator practice. This is a form of collective rhythm making. The reason that you use it is because it brings you into synchrony with another person. So you get to actually feel the sense of oneness, and it's high arousal, high activation, but it has an organizing effect on the nervous system. So that's why you want rhythm in activator practice. Okay, so this one is double, double this, double, double that, double this, double that, double this, that. Double, double this, double, double that, double this, double that, double this, that. So fun. I love those. And like you'll notice that we're like mirroring, our bodies and also our realms of social engagement. So that's another big piece of an activator practice. All right, the settler practice. And you might want to pair, like if you're going to do a connector, you might want to pair that with a settler so that your students are really organized for when you return to instruction. So this one is a physiological sigh. This one is, I don't know if any other fellow nerds out there exist. I'm going to stop sharing this. Other fellow nerds who love Dr. Andrew Huberman's podcast. Can you give me a little thumbs up if you do? Love that. Huge fan of his work. And he actually kind of brought this back. I mean, it was, I can't remember the name of the person, the scientist who developed it, but what it is you're going to take a deep breath in, and right when you think your lungs are full, you're going to inhale a little more, and then you're going to fully exhale slow and long. Ready? So it sounds like this. One more time. It may not be easy to see, but I actually have my hands on my heart and on my belly. And I would do one more time just to kind of, again, if you want to try this with me, I'd love for you to try it with me. You're going to inhale, inhale all the way. Right, Lena? Thank you. I'm so glad you felt that. It really is. You can really feel your whole body just going, ah, right? And so that's, the thing that made Porges's work so novel and revolutionary is that this concept around arousal and settling in the nervous system isn't new. It's been around for like 50 years. This is what OTs get trained in. But what made his different is that he was able to recognize that there are distinct circuits that can either be in circuits that support states that are either in the service of protection or connection. And our bodies actually have twice as many circuits for protection versus connection. So we default more easily into protective states, which in behavioral terms shows up as all the things that are challenging in the classroom. And so when you are purposely arousing and settling the body, and you're doing that in a relational context, like in the classroom, and if you compare any movement with it or a tactile input, right, then you're increasing the likelihood that the nervous system is going to experience this in service of connection. So you're building that felt safety, you're building that regulation for you and your students. They need it and you need it, okay? And last but not least, I'd love for a little gesture like this. Can folks turn on their, oh, I love that. And you can go like this, back, and one more time forward, and do it back. Oh my God, look at the Rebecca West group. I love you guys. They're all together. That's so cute. Yeah, just even the mirroring back, even in a virtual space, it's powerful. Like you don't feel alone, you feel seen. And that's what an affirmation practice is. It's a way for you to double down on positive experience in the moment and to communicate that in some way, just like I said that to you all, like, oh my gosh, look at you guys. I love that. Right. So that's not praise. That's me doubling down for my benefit and hopefully yours, that it felt good to me to be mirrored by you in that moment. So we're at 12:30. I'm going to, that's the end of today. I hope you felt like this was helpful time. I hope you'll bring back some practices and try some. And remember, when our kids are acting crazy, it's because we need to be doing something different. Thanks so much for being here with me. Take care. Bye.